You mentioned Kooris, like the jails are pretty, unfortunately, well, it's just a fact, I guess.
They're packed with Kooris.
Lots of Indigenous, like massive, right?
Yeah.
And
people always tiptoe around the waist to say they're packed with Kooris. Totally. Everyone knows that.
Totally. And they stick together. Yeah. And they're very loyal to each other and look after each other. Yep. Big time. And you know, you don't get on the wrong side of them either, by the way. So, and you have an affiliation, like, or a sensitivity towards the Indigenous culture in Australia, or particularly here in Sydney.
Yep.
Do you feel as though you resonate with them, or they resonate with you?
Look, I wouldn't go as deep to say there is something culturally and spiritually about them that resonates with something within me. I'm not going to say that. It's just exposure. It's just exposure. So I moved as a young age, the age where I grew up in Dulwich Hill, Marrickville area, when I was at the age where you weren't allowed to leave the house. So that area didn't shape me. As soon as I was old enough to leave the house and become my own man, I lived around the Glebe area, Woolloomooloo, Waterloo, Redfern. So everybody that I was friends with, nearly everybody bar two people were Aboriginal. Like my partners at the time were Aboriginal. I was in Aboriginal gangs, and like my firstborn son is Aboriginal. And like, so I went to jail, and it's like all my mates from the outside, when you go to jail, obviously, you know what I mean, to tell you what national you are, you go with them. So here we are, me and all my mates who are all Aboriginal going to jail, and then they're all sitting over there with the Kooris. So what do I sit by myself? They're my mates. So I creep over and I'm sitting with the Kooris, and some of the ones that aren't from Redfern area, most of the Kooris aren't. They're from the country areas, you know, Dubbo and all those areas. And they're like, who's this? Why is this WOG kid sitting with us? Then the older boys from the city areas would turn to them and say, no, he's one of the boys. He's from Redfern. He grew up with us. And I'm like, oh, Dornbuzz. And so a couple of years of that, and you just accept it. And obviously who you hang around, you start to talk like them and start to act like them. And that's it. That's how I grew up. I spent 20 years of my life with them.
Do you think or any of their cultural things have rubbed off on you? Like, have you adopted any of their cultural views or?
Look, I wouldn't say in the broader spectrum of Aboriginality in Australia that I've adopted their ways. I'm definitely nothing like an Aboriginal person from the Northern Territory, but I'm very much like an Aboriginal lad from Sydney here, where we are, down the street, Woolloomooloo. And they're just one of the boys. There's no difference. Here we're all the same. Doesn't matter if you're Tongan, doesn't matter if you're Lebo, doesn't matter if you're Koori, or half Spanish and French and Dutch and whatever I am, and a bit of this, bit of that. So we're all the same. But yeah, you're right. A lot of our ways here in the city are like, everyone thinks that we act like Kooris. Like there's like, say, for example, our Islander mates here, they go to jail, the boys from like Glebe and like Woolo and that, they go to jail, and the other Islanders look at them and they're like, they're full-blown Tongans and full-blown Maoris, and the other Islander boys in jail look at them like, why do you talk like Aboriginal, bro? And they're like, I don't know, bro, I'm from Redfern, you know what I mean? Like, and so like, yeah, that's the way we are, yeah.